Hi, my name is Dr. Ross Hauser. Welcome to the Hauser Neck Center here in Fort Myers, Florida. Have a special guest that I've known for a year, TJ. Why don't you just introduce yourself and then tell your story? Because I thought we should interview you because you were in such a good mood. I haven't seen you today, but you definitely have a lot of positive things going on in your life, and I've always admired you for the work you do in New York. So if you could, obviously, sometime in the interview, talk about that.
Yeah, I'm TJ. You could call me Trader Joe's or like Tom and Jerry, TJ. And as you can see, I'm like gushing with a smile. I can't stop smiling because this was not me a year ago. A year ago, I started to come down with symptoms of POTS. I was having rapid heart rate, high blood, like fluctuating blood pressure, dizziness, just a whole, when I would go to sleep, it was like, I felt like my heart was like jumping. And now I don't feel like that. So
well, you were worried like
God.
something majorly was wrong. And then the doctors that you were going to in New York, they just couldn't really figure out the cause, right?
It was very hard. It was
and you're
hard.
normally like self-sufficient, kind of an alpha female, right? Like
Yeah.
And then why don't you just talk a little bit about your accomplishments? Because you were basically an elite athlete who then had everything taken from her, basically.
Yeah, I played professional basketball. I'm fortunate to say that. I played at the highest level, Division I basketball as well. I also played for my Jamaican Olympic qualifying team as well. So I was like full into sport. I worked out all the time. And I think that's where kind of like my injuries kind of came from. I always spoke to you about that. I'm always getting hit. I'm on the court. I'm always getting hit in the back. Or even more intricately now that I think about it, when the coach says, look left and look right, I'm doing that like every single practice every day for how many years? I don't even know. So I think my injuries just kind of like, it just kind of accumulated over time. But last year my main symptom was I was having palpitations and I was having rapid heart rate. And I went to the cardio. I did 2 echoes. I did a stress test. I did an ultrasound of the heart. I did an MRI of the heart and everything. I even did genetic testing of the heart to see if I had anything. And every single one of those tests came back normal. And that wasn't an easy process as well because, I'm a Black woman. So to advocate for myself that was a whole nother ball game.
They didn't want to believe you that it's just like
the
you're
gaslighting was real.
Yeah, like you're anxious and just relax and you're a stressed out athlete. But I think one of the things when I first met you was like you couldn't do the athletics, and then you don't really, and you still wanted to be involved in athletics. You love athletics.
Yeah, the gaslighting was real, and I always speak to you about like common sense of things, and my natural heart, like my resting heart rate for me is like 51 or 52. My resting heart rate. My resting heart rate was like 90. And I'm like, I was like 1 + 1 doesn't equal potato. Like 1 + 1 = 2, and they were like, no, it's normal. And I'm like, for someone else that's normal, but for me that is not normal.
Yeah.
My whole life, and then in 2 weeks I'm chilling, just sitting, and I'm at 90. And I'm not an anxious person. I'm from New York. I'm from the Bronx. I've been through some obstacles in my life, so it will take a lot for me to get like a little nervous. But my body was just rejecting me kind of bit, and every doctor I went to, again, I had to advocate for myself on top of me trying to push to get the proper answer.
I don't even think even when I first saw you that you had a lot of support.
No.
Except for yourself, and that's what you and I talked about, was like you literally were alone. Like you kind of were alone, and then you obviously you watched some of the YouTube videos and thought, maybe this whole vagus nerve thing relates to me because you had so many crashes or whatever, with your neck.
I had so many crashes. I didn't have enough support, but also I have to pinpoint the fact that I was doing CrossFit and Olympic lifting for a long period of time. So I was throwing the bar on my neck, and that's my fault. I wasn't necessarily paying attention to the technique of it. But now as I look back at it, I'm resting 200 pounds on my neck. I don't think 200 pounds plus my big 10, 15 head should be on my neck. And now I'm like, oh no, I can't, really pay attention to technique in any type of sport you do. Technique is extremely important. I wish I would have paid attention to it more. It was me watching the videos. I kind of like this was ordained. This was not something where I like stumbled. I mean, I remember finding ladybugs in my bed or on my car, and I felt like the Lord was speaking to me, and I found your video. I don't necessarily remember how, but I found it, and it was God who led me. And I'm from New York, so I'm skeptical. I'm like, fine, man, just a typical New Yorker. You're guilty until proven innocent, not the other way around. And I was like, yeah, whatever. And then, but I also knew that, like I explained to you before, like God, he simplifies things in the most simplest form for his people. So when we overprocess and overthink it, that's us of the flesh, So I was like, the simple thing to believe here is the way you spoke about it. And it wasn't your necessarily newer videos, because I wanted to check your profile.
That's fair. That's
so
fair, yeah.
I scrolled all the way back to like 12 years, and your consistency in the frame of your thought and the knowledge and your experience and your expertise, it was consistent across the board. And that's when I knew, because it reminded me of a coach, like of a team. Like the formula doesn't change. The formula just gets better. And I locked in at that point. And once I locked in, I came down here, my first session. I remember my first session with you, I was so angry at basketball.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I was so angry at the sport, and and you held my hand, and at that moment I felt like you heard me. I felt like you were advocating for me. I didn't feel gaslit. And I say this as a Black woman, I felt like you genuinely cared. And I don't want to get emotional, but I appreciate that. In a space where we always have to fight, I didn't have to fight here. I was welcomed with open arms. So that's a whole nother conversation for a whole nother day. But you told, and the way you, like, I think I mentioned it, the way you explained it, it was like common sense, neck down, bone forward, jugular veins closed,
and then it hits the vagus, and then you get tachycardia.
Yeah.
And then you put in the work. And then I think you and I had talked about too, I was forthright with you that it is going to be a sort of slow process over the course of a year. And what was kind of cool, well, we're at like the 1 year, and then you're kind of drastically better.
Oh, geez Louise! Like, I still have symptoms, but I have a ways to go. But I believe that I can play basketball again, which is huge for me.
Yeah.
So this is I'm going into my 7th today.
Yeah.
So I've had 6 treatments, and I am a strong 70 to 75% better. Where when I came here last in May, I was like negative 80. Like I was something.
Even emotionally, you were in a bad
I was
state.
So stressed, and but now I 110% believe I'm going to be 110% better. And I want to make it clear also, this is not an overnight thing. You have to put in the work, and it's so crazy to even think that we have to tell people that about their health. When to go get a car, they'll be like, I'm going to the dealer tomorrow. But to go, take care of their health, they gotta get third opinion. They have to find other ways of people to believe them to actually go get the help. When with your health, the way you have explained it so simply, it's like, I'm so fortunate.
You wanted to share some things with me. So you said yourself that basically somebody, you did it in an article or an interview. And then why don't you explain, like you and I haven't talked about recently the work you're trying to get going, or you get going in New York. Because you have a heart, you have a certain missionary heart.
Thank you. So, my life and the people in my life have been so instrumental for me. And, you know, I want to do the same for athletes. So I help marginalized athletes get access to scholarships, and we've been able to provide $1.7 million in access, but $1,000 in secured scholarship for athletes, not just in New York, just all over the U.S. as well. And
what's the organization called?
NurtureSPRT. So
NurtureSPRT. How do you spell it?
So NurtureSPRT, and sport is SPRT. And we're currently fundraising right now in our pre-seed round. And, you know, all of that said, you know, the app is free for all athletes. There's no premium, there's no charge, because of the simple fact that every single athlete deserves a chance. And I'm not going to get emotional because you gave me a chance, you know? So I say, like, the Lord led me to you to heal me because I have something I have to do for someone else. And you did that for me. You know, you gave me a chance. So it's just, yeah, I'm grateful to you, Dr. Hauser.
Oh, thank you,
so
TJ.
I got three more treatments, and I think 3 to 4.
Well, no, but I mean, I think what you said is, like, you know, even those around you, you're saying your mom.
Oh, and I'm also a professor. I keep on forgetting that part.
So explain that. So where are you a professor?
I'm a professor at the Rock Nation School of Music, Sports, and Entertainment at LIU, Brooklyn, Long Island University. Yeah, so I teach sports management, sports entrepreneurship, you know, all management in sports, you know, and my colleagues are amazing. So yeah.
Are you a long-term thinker or no? I was just wondering, like, if God, like, say God came to you in a dream and you, and then he asked you, like, if your dreams could come true, what are your dreams? Like, obviously, one of your dreams was because you always want to play basketball and stay active and this or that, but what other dreams or goals do you have?
I think I'm fortunate to say that I'm in my dream. Okay. You know, like, I can say I haven't fully evolved into it, you know, but I'm in my dream because my dream is to remove all gatekeep to information that can help other people. You know, and specifically in my area, which is sport, like yours is medical, for athletes, you know. And I tie that right back to you. You are not gatekeeping. Like, you are just like, blah, you know, like here, I'm giving you the information on how to live a prosperous, healthy life. And I think that's where sometimes it could be a little like, you know, for me, I'm like, because nothing's for free in New York, you know, but it is like,
I'm probably similar to you in that the people that taught me, like all the people that taught me, Dr. Helmwald, Prolotherapy, Dr. Alsasser, natural medicine, you know, different mentors I've had, it was all freely given to me. Like, it was just freely given to me. So I think you and I have that same thing. Like, you had talked to me about coaches that you admired and this and that, and they just were wholeheartedly invested in you. So I don't feel like, you know, so I have that same spirit in that stuff was freely given to me, so I should freely give it to
and you do. And I think
people.
For me also, I know sometimes people be like, well, if it's free, why are you charging, or whatever the case may be. The operation got to keep on going. How am I, what? You know, again, 1 + 1 doesn't equal potato, you know, so the operation has to keep on going. But, you know, I've definitely done my research, and I'm like, wow, like, I am getting PRP prolotherapy from the best in the game. Like, you're like the Kobe Bryant of prolotherapy. like
no, but
or the Michael Jordan, because you're like around his time. Like, and your wife is like Phil Jackson. Like, she's the coach. You're like your Michael, you know. I'm like, listen, put me in, coach, you know. And then, like, I'll come here, and then, you know, the sessions, like, first you'll be like, boop, 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 boop. All right, TJ, later. Like, I'm like, what? Am I done? You know, and then, so it's like, you know, for the pain, it is pain, but, you know, beauty is pain, you know, but it's worth
That's funny.
You know, it's worth it. Internal beauty is pain, but it's like 5-minute pain. Like, it's like boop, 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 boop. And then you'd be like, all right, TJ, next.
Well, you and I have talked about, like, almost every athlete who's been serious about their craft, you're probably going to end up with some ligament injuries, because ligaments are supposed to be like ropes. And then the MRIs and all the tests you have, they're very good at showing the tendon, showing the muscles. They can show the bone, but they don't do a good job with showing the ligaments. So you could get a bunch of tests, like I'm sure you had a bunch of tests, and they never said that you had, ligamentous cervical instability. I think we've done a couple other body parts too that you've responded really good to. And then you and I even talked about there's probably a few more body parts that you wouldn't mind getting some work on. Because, just like you've done stuff for 30 years or 25 years, and you just need a body mechanic to like kind of rebuild things. So that's kind of what prolotherapy does. It just causes the ligaments to get repaired.
I feel like I'm doing my whole body. Once I finish my neck, I already share with you, we're longtime friends at this point. Like, I'm doing my whole 6'3" frame. Like, I'm going to do my elbows, my wrists, my ankles, my knees, because it works. And
do you actually have discomfort in those areas?
Yeah, my elbows, I fell on my elbows a few times, twisted my ankles, my knees. Basketball have definitely put me through the ringer, and even things like you provoke a thought process in me, or just in general, they're football players in their helmets. What I forgot what a CTE. Like I'm starting to think like CTE for football players is triggered to their ligament, because you have a 10-pound helmet, then you have a 10-pound head, and then you have this neck, and then you're running full force and getting hit. I'm like, even me, again, going back to that 1+1, like even me who is not an expert, if I'm getting hit and I'm jerked back with a helmet and my head multiple years in games, I mean,
you're probably going to have some significant ligament injury. So you wonder if the football players, or somebody was even telling me, like the most amount of concussions is young females in soccer. Like, in other words, the most amount of concussions is like, because gals more than guys are more loose jointed. So the point is, you wonder if the football players, whenever they had a concussion or they had a really bad hit, if they would at least get checked to see if they have ligament damage in their neck, and if the ligament damage was treated by prolotherapy or some other means to get the ligaments strong, you wonder if the CTE risk would go way down,
I feel like there should be, in my expertise of sport, I feel like there should be a prolotherapist on every single sports team.
Yeah, that'd be ideal.
I feel like that should definitely be where we should be heading. Kobe did prolotherapy, rest in peace. Ronaldo does prolotherapy. So these are the creme de la creme of athletes. And again, they're doing something that allowed them to be their most successful and best. These are the best athletes in the world, So, and going back to, even women in sport, we tear our ACL so easily. So now I'm thinking this is something that should be available for every sports team, and not just one session. I think that's important too. You're not going to just see a miracle in one session. You'll feel a difference. I will say in my first session, I felt a difference, but it took me getting over the hump at my fourth and my fifth to be like, oh, wow.
And now it feels really strong.
The sun is, the grass is greener on this side, like, wow. And it's greener, like I feel stronger. And I really feel like my body, like my neck and my shoulders could be like, I feel like I'm getting back to my older self, and I'm not even done yet. So I'm very excited and very, very grateful to you, Dr. Hauser. Like, I mean,
thank you,
listen, TJ. If anybody's ever, I'm from New York. I can't but stress it, because we side-eye everybody, but this
I actually didn't know that, because I'm from Chicago, so is that actually true?
Yeah. And
like, you're saying like just skeptical?
We're skeptical about everyone, everything. We always say we can read read you from afar. You don't even need to get close.
Wow.
You're guilty before innocent. Like we are so skeptical. So, when I came down here, I was skeptical, but I am not a skeptic. I've been raving about it to every single athlete, every person of color, every Caribbean person. I'm like, I'm like, don't be a stereotype. Like, don't be that person that doesn't reach out for every option, You provided me access.
Well, then you said like you really do have to be your own advocate. Like you're a good model of that, because if you waited for approval from everybody to start prolotherapy, you would have been waiting a long time. Because a lot of people, they just don't understand it, and then why don't the major medical centers do it, and why didn't the team physician tell me to do it? So, and
then also, again, like I think I've repeated this like many times here, because I want to really kind of get it across, is the fact that like it comes down to like, stop overthinking it, like there was a video you said way back, like 12 years ago, you mentioned the vagus nerve. And all I did was just Google vagus nerve, and it was like vagus nerve, heart rate, inflammation, all the like boop, 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 boop. And I'm like, if the vagus nerve is damaged, what happens? Because this is someone who was telling me.
That was good.
Yeah, this was somebody telling me that it's not your vagus nerve. And so I said, okay, if the vagus nerve is injured, what happens? And he was like, the body disrupts. So I'm like, if the body disrupts, so I was like, can we live without our vagus nerve? And he was like, no. So I'm like, what?
No, you can't.
So I was like, thank you for your services. I'm heading to Florida.
No,
like, it was like, okay, like, thank you for your service. I'm heading to Florida. Because I'm like, you were literally telling me it's not my vagus nerve. But then after I just asked a question, you literally just answered. So I was just
like, it could be your vagus nerve.
Yeah. And I was just like, and then I came down here. And when I came down here,
we measured your vagus nerve.
My left jugular vein was fully closed.
Yeah. And you had a lot of vagus nerve degeneration.
I had a lot, on
the left.
Yes, and in my jaw, because I when I played basketball, I have my back teeth are all out. I'm still working on that now, but I'm waiting for finished treatment. So my jaw is all out of line. And you said that. He was like, yeah, your jaw is messed up. And I was like, oh yeah, and it was messed up. Yeah, now when I did the measurements again, and Brad, my nurse, who I love, shout out to Brad. Yeah. He was like, your jugular veins are open now. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's all because of you, So yeah, I'm grateful. And like I said, I have 3 more, this will be 7. So I have like 3 to 4 more treatments, and then I head to my body, and I'm getting my mom to come down, and everybody. For you. Yeah, my kids, shout out to Danielle, because she probably wants to see my kids, and, like, as we get older, or her kids, or, it's a family affair. Like, we're all going to be coming down.
We just have to, with the kids, we got to try to have them not be addicted to the cell phone, and we got to try to.
I'm speaking to the kids I don't even have. That's why I'm saying, like, this is a family embedded thing now.
I'm just saying, like, you care about the young people. And then the other thing too is, when an athlete gets injured, you got to try to get the injury resolved. Because I think what happens is the injuries don't really ever get resolved, and the athlete's playing. And sometimes, I understand, it's the middle of the season, but at least in the off season, if there is an off season, because nowadays, there really is an off season, but you have to figure out at some point, you got to try to get that injury cured, because if you don't, it's a progressive disorder. You're running on a unstable knee.
And to that point, thankfully you said that, because also they rush us back after injuries, so we'll have an injury, like my ankles now are swollen because I've torn and they rush us back. They'd be like 6 weeks, and then, go back on the court. But again, coming down here and learning, like we said, we met a year ago. So it's patience and time, not everything happens overnight. But the year is nothing compared to the rest of my life by the grace of God. So I'm like, I'll give a year, but it's really that space of things.
You seem to be a woman of kind of strong faith too. So why don't you explain a little bit about that? Were you raised that way, or you just came to that as an adult, or how did you?
I was raised in Christian faith. But I was never strong. Again, I was a skeptic, because I was like, some of these pastors out here take your offerings and buy Porsches, So I was like, But then I grew. Then again, I really tried to stress the issue of, like, as people, we start to get stronger in our faith when we go through trauma, we call out more to the Lord, we ask, and he answers, and one thing I said to him, I was like, if you help me, Lord, like, Lord, show me your strength, show me your presence. And he did through you. And I said, if you help me, I will be a loyal servant to you. And I am still honoring that promise to him. I have surrendered everything to him. And as I started to surrender everything to him, he started to speak to me more through this process, because again, he was removing the skeptic, which was TJ.
Okay.
And he was like, TJ, Holy Spirit was like, TJ, again, I shared this with you, like, just in Jesus's walk, nobody believed him. He was literally actively healing the blind and saving people, and people still were not believing him. Even when he got to Calvary, he was said, forgive them, Father, because they do not know what they do. Yeah. So and he was telling them too, like Jesus, when I was reading about it, like he was telling them, why do you doubt me? I'm literally, there's no secret sauce here. It literally is in your face. Touch my cloth and I will heal you. So I think that helped me truthfully with this process as well, because it was like, there was no secret sauce. You kept on saying, again, this is what's causing it. This is the answer. This is what can help. I'm not hiding nothing from you. And yes, even in that space, you leaned into your faith, and you kept on, I've heard conversations through your interviews, and the doubters didn't matter, because you were solving something that through a gift that God gave you, and I shared this with you. I was like, you can stop speaking just like this, and your work speaks so loudly. Appreciate that. So I feel like, we are, and it goes back to, we are a reflection of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. So I'm like, okay, I'm at the right place. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. That's great. I'm sure the Lord will use you with the young people that...
I pray, yeah. I mean,
well, you said you're surrendered, so it's like...
I have surrendered. And it's he removed...
The interesting thing, too, is we don't talk a lot about the verse where... This is strange if you think about it. Jesus said, the harvest is plentiful. Mm-hmm. And, and then he didn't say, pray for a harvest. He said, we need to pray for harvesters. The point I think he was making was, there's so many people out there that have a need for God. Mm-hmm. And Jesus is just saying, can you guys please just try, mm-hmm. Just try, that there's a lot of people that need to get hooked up with God, need a little nudge, mm-hmm. right? Because, you can't make somebody believe in God, but you can surely share like what you did. You mm-hmm. can nudge a little bit in the right direction. So sometimes what I'll do is I'll just pray, Lord, you ask that, you said pray that there would be harvesters. Well, I want to be a harvester. Could you help me harvest? And it doesn't mean that I'm such a great person. It's just you have to have that open heart that if God, like, I didn't plan today. I didn't even know you were going to be here, right? Yeah. So I didn't plan that I would see you outside. Mm-hmm. But that's like the Holy Spirit, like TJ's outside. So then it turns out, like, because, there's days where I am inundated and I have no time. So mm-hmm. I had the Lord got us to where we had time outside. Then we got to reconnect, because I haven't seen you. I haven't seen you probably for 4 months. I haven't seen you for 4 months. And then it just happened that we have time now. So, but I think that's part of just having an open heart.
And also, like, nothing is planned, like you said. And it's kind of, it goes back to one thing I've also, speaking of the harvest, like plentiful, and as long as you have the faith of a mustard seed, that's what the Bible says, as long as you have a faith of a mustard seed. And lastly, one thing I've also learned through the Bible, and I'm seeing now too, is like, you cannot hide a miracle. And I'm 6'3" and I'm helping athletes. Your primary color is yellow. I've never seen a doctor with such a bright presence like you. Like, you cannot hide the blessing that God has placed on this earth. You can't. And that's a testament to you and the way you carry yourself and your color as well. You too. So, yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I guess treatment number 7, we got to get to it.
Let's go. Let's go.